From Magere here in Chadondo on Gayaza Road at the residence of Honorable Chagulanyi Sentamo Robert, who happens to be a presidential aspirant of 2021 general elections. And we're joined by him. Very good morning.
Good to have you.
Please have a seat.
Andrew.
It's weird that I'm giving you a seat at your residence.
Well, I'm all under your command now.
Well, for starters, after the victory of the platform in court, the presidential aspirant Robert Chagulanyi's path seems to have one hurdle taken out of the way. So what's next for what becomes of Uganda's 10th president, if I should put it that way? So we're here in Magere to find the answers to the questions of that and much more. And the hashtag is MorningAgenTV. I want to recommend and thank those already running by the hashtag We're Live. Many of you had doubts that possibly we couldn't make it here, but get what? We use the rubber-dub style, and finally we got here in time. Good morning, Honorable.
Good morning, Andrew. How have you been?
It's been long. You last had an exclusive interview of this magnitude, if I should be exact, 5 months ago.
Yeah.
You've not been talking to the media exclusively unless it has been something very patent and you've been in battles of court. But for starters, I want to start with NUP court victory.
Yes, please.
What does it mean to you and your candidates and to the party as the president of the party?
Well, it is good news, but again, it is not new. This was a bogus case, like we said in the beginning, and we are glad the judge agreed with us. This was largely to derail us, to cut our speed, and of course to vulgarize the National Unity Platform. And sadly, by and large, our detractors achieved their intention because it was mainly to cut our speed, and they managed to take quite some substantial piece of our time.
Did this in one or the other disorganize you? Because we had a court case running, we had your offices, raided, and a lot of stuff was taken. Did this badly affect the agenda you wanted to move with?
Yes, it did. I really like to be optimistic, but
Absolutely.
I won't hesitate to talk about the negative. It affected us greatly. It created a lot of doubt, and I want to believe it was intended to create that doubt. Many people were not able to nominate on our ticket as should have been. We had about 400. We had 427 members of parliament that picked our ticket to nominate, but ultimately only 238 nominated. Why? Very many of them freaked out because they thought the party was going to be, squashed, and others, it really affected us greatly.
Wow.
Yeah.
I really need to commend you for the fight you put up in courts of law and all that. But what does this mean to the constitutional ruling of Uganda here when we go to the constitutional bit? Your court case with the NUP being in court and it comes out greatly and winning. I know it is a precedent that was set.
Yeah.
But what does this mean to the constitution of this country, especially that you're vying for presidency?
Well, this is not to mean that Uganda has rule of law. No. I want to believe that it benefited the regime greatly, because if again they ruled it in a bogus way, like the case was brought, it would have affected him much more than it would have affected us. Yeah.
So it was not anything to benefit NUP, it benefited the regime.
It is not anything to celebrate. It is like me taking your jacket from you and then giving it back to you, and then I claim I'm a just person. Yeah.
Bobi Wine, when we look at the conflicts within NUP over flag bearers, if the party is to put in place reconciliation efforts, are there efforts already trying to reconcile those who feel they were a little bit marginalized or sidelined in getting the NUP cards?
Well, definitely the efforts are there. As you know, political parties are by nature exclusive. Only one person will pick the ticket, and you see that we were in a situation where we had in some constituencies more than 10 people running on a people power ticket. Now you should remember that NUP is just the political version, the registered version of people power. So ultimately we had to get one candidate. It's for the benefit of the voters, because we've always insisted that we shouldn't divide the vote. But of course, each one of them felt that they were the deserving candidate.
Okay.
So there was basically that disappointment.
As a leader, did you enjoy when you saw this kind of wave and the competition among the youthful age trying to get involved? When you saw all this, regardless of what became later of the noob cards and all, did you appreciate the process for them?
Certainly, it is very encouraging to see that so many people, especially young people, are, gravitating with us, thinking like us, and they're willing to take the risk with us. Remember that other parties were actually paying nomination fees for their candidates. We did not have nomination fees, and on account of that, we lost more than 180 candidates. So it is very motivating to see that people, especially young people, are believing with us. And yes, the efforts are still ongoing to bring them all back in the fold and fight together.
Okay, so how many candidates do we have from NUP currently who are holding the NUP card across the country, the different regions? And how is NUP ensuring that they win? Or because your approach in your in your vying for your candidacy for Chadondo, your approach was guard your vote. Berawo bakarang tovao. That was the approach. So going forward with the NUP, how are you making sure that they're not cheated even in the wake of a lot of the state machinery around?
Thank you. Like I said in the beginning, we initially had 427 candidates for Member of Parliament across the country. But ultimately, we were only able to nominate 237. Many of them were intimidated because of the court case, and others actually did not have the money. We did not afford to pay for all of them. We give thanks to all the Ugandans here in Uganda and abroad that helped us fundraise for those candidates that could not afford the nomination fee. Now you see the intention of raising the parliamentary nomination fee is to kick out opposition candidates that don't have the opportunity to benefit from the state coffers, and about 28 of them were simply not nominated. Some were arrested on the way to nomination, others because of late payment, while others, like I told you, were simply blocked from nomination. And through our legal team, we continue to find means we continue to appeal for them. I believe that through our legal team, we'll be able to have that sorted because it's provided within our law. Yeah.
Well, Bobi Wine, you've always put forward that this, your party, the new party, it's a youth-led party. If I could go back, this was in 2015, on quote, you said that we want a party in our generation that does not brag of the 1986 or of the war, but a party that understands our generational trends, our problems, and with our own solutions. You've vied for this and you've thumped your chest so strongly about this party, and it's for the youth. Going forward, how is the party positioning itself for the youth MP elections that are soon coming?
To begin with, Andrew, it's interesting that all my life I've not seen the opposition involve itself in youth elections. It started with the National Unity Platform, a party that was about 2 weeks old when the youth elections came up. So this has been largely an NRM affair. In many areas, it's the RDCs, the DSOs, and the PSOs that only feel the leaders for the youth. So we pride ourselves in awakening the young people massively. We took part and indeed won massively. Wherever we fronted candidates, we won up to 98%. Of course, like I told you, our party was only 2 weeks old, so we could only do so much. We've been able to win on village level, on parish level, and on district level, and we're certainly fronting youth candidates.
Okay. Going forward, looking at very many political parties around the globe, but I'll come back here in Africa. When look at Chama Pinduzi, they have an ideology that really drives their agenda. We have the ANC, it has what drives the agenda, of course, with the Mokonzi wa Siziwe on the other side. Looking at the NUP party, what ideology does it run by? That's because people subscribe to ideologies, and these are the ideologies that drive them over time. the youth understand your vibe. They understand your direction.
Yeah.
But what ideology is there that they can possibly subscribe to, and maybe they could be members? You know, you could be a fan of a party, but being a member, it's unique.
Yes.
So what unique ideology do the members subscribe to? Because maybe some of us are struggling to understand the ideology.
Well, you shouldn't be struggling to understand.
Okay.
The word
Bring me
ideology
to speed.
has been largely vulgarized.
Yes.
Some actually call it ideology. Yeah. But in simple terms, what
Yes.
are we about as the National Unity Platform? We are about servant leadership. We are about basically a new Uganda. Today we are unveiling our poster, and soon we'll be unveiling our manifesto. But we are about a new Uganda run on servant leadership. You know, our 5 core values, our 5 core targets are: one, the respect of human rights and the rule of law, revamping our education system, revamping our healthcare system, you know, revamping agriculture, national unity and reconciliation, and of course, refixing our international affairs. But all this runs for the people. Just like we were saying, people power is our power. It's about the people. It's about servant leadership. It's about elevating the citizens above and then making the leaders true servants that they should be.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Servant leadership is a conversation we're having. We're live from Magere here in Chadondo. I'm seated with the Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, and we are having a lot of conversation. The hashtag is Morning at NTV. In a bit, I'll be sampling your questions. There are quite lots of questions on the online from around the globe. The diaspora team has a lot of questions they are
I
posting.
salute them.
I'll get to that a little later. Now, Honorable Kyagulanyi, the Kyagulanyi journey to State House. Yeah. Well, now that the court battle has been declared, the nomination is imminent. What does Kyagulanyi plan for Ugandans beyond the change song? Because you're saying we need the change, but we need to know what is beyond the change song, and what is your plan? At least we need to hear a snippet of what you plan for the country. I listened to your interview when you were at a radio station in Ginger, and you addressed, they're called the triple A's or the 4 A's.
A's,
Yes,
yeah.
but that was a very small ice beat to the bigger question. I need to understand what you have in plan for Ugandans, because people would say, yes, I'm going to go with Kyagulanyi, he wants the change. But what exactly are we talking about the change? Then what's the call to action for the citizens?
Thank you very much. I am glad you are asking that question again, and I'm even gladder that you touched the education and the triple A's.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if you were reading the comments on my Twitter that almost convinced me to turn them into the 4 A's.
Yeah.
Our education system is what I'll talk about, because we can't have enough time to talk about the entire vision of our new
That will be in the manifesto.
Exactly. Education. Like Mandela said, education is the most powerful weapon with which you can change the nation and indeed the world. Our education system has to be anchored on the 3 A's. Now I'm thinking of making them 4 A's. And that is the academics, the arts, athletics, and now the 4th A, which came from my friend Kakensa, should be agriculture. Why? We are building a new Uganda, and that new Uganda begins from what we put in the minds of our people. Academics is what we focus on these days, and it's not even enough, and that explains why we import doctors and export house girls and security guards. Yes, academics are important, but not everybody is going to be an academic giant. One of my friends, Silva Kyagulanyi, one time said, and I agree with him, that talent is the only hope of Africa. Most of the times when our flag has been raised sky high, it has been because of either the arts or the academics. So while in school, we want to give the same emphasis like we give to academics, to the arts. That is the only way we're going to produce more Bobi wines from school, more chameleons, more baby cools, more Eddie Kenzos, more Fidel tires, and others. And these will not only be talented, but they will be trained to manage that talent and also nurture other talents. The athletics, look at Kipsiro, look at Kiprotich, look at Kasimo, look at Cheptegei, you know. And these are people that are self-built. But what if we build that talent, that athletic talent, right from school? And yes, you know, I've already talked about the academics, I've talked about the arts, and I've talked about the athletics. Now, one friend of mine talked about agriculture.
Kakensa.
Yes, and I really agree with him. You know, our generation, me and you, we grew up hating agriculture, looking at it as a punishment. But how about giving it fashion? How about giving it style? How about giving it a positive vibe? How about raising our children, you know, loving and believing and being innovative in agriculture? After all, we have the most amiable land here in Uganda, you know.
True.
So we want to use what we have to rise far high.
And what's the call to action for the citizens to see all this come to light?
To see the opportunity that we have and embrace it. This is not going to fall from the sky. A leader sees the way, goes the way, but most importantly, shows the way. Now, I see that new Uganda, but it's not enough for me to see it. It needs you, Andrew, to see it as well. It needs those young men and women in Kamocha, in Kanoni, in Kaberamaido, in Rukunjiri, in Gulu, to see all that and go in there. We have all it takes. All we need is a leadership, and I am offering that leadership. All I need is the masses to come. Let's embrace it. Once I am president, then the journey to the promised land will have begun.
Thank you. That is Robert Chaglin. That is very interesting, and I'll be very lucky to be in that generation that takes that angle.
You are lucky already.
I
We
am.
are going there together, man.
Well, every other generation that has toppled government, their fallen leaders seem to be in a very bad state. I'll give you an example. In France, when Louis XVI left and Marie Antoinette, they left the country penniless. They were destitute of sword. Hypothetically, Honorable, hypothetically, let's assume Museveni says that I am not going to run. And hypothetically, or as you believe...
He's running. Just
no.
say...
Okay.
He says, I'm going to
okay, he
respect
runs
what
and
comes
he
out.
loses,
Exactly.
and you win. How
Like
are
it's
you
gonna
going to
be.
treat your predecessor? Because we have seen in the past regimes, leaders here, it was only Binaisa who was here. The rest have always been in exile. So Chagulanyi has won. You announced the president. You're no longer staying at Magere here, but you're now in Entebbe or Nakasero. How would you treat the former president? Now you're the 10th president.
Well, to begin with, this is going to be a new Uganda. We want to live in a country where we have a resident former president who lives respectedly.
Come again. A resident former
president.
Nice
You
one.
know, who is respected,
Okay.
who we go to seek advice from. Of course, he has made a lot of mistakes. But again, two wrongs don't make it right. We want to have our President Museveni, who we respect, who is in his home in Rachtura, who we take very good care of. And that will communicate not only to the next former presidents, but to other, you know, leaders across Africa. Many times they are scared that they will be persecuted after they lose power, and that's why they cling on power. But that is not only up to us, that is up to him as well. It really, really depends on how it goes. We really want President Museveni to retire respectfully. So all of us have a role to play. While we have a role to play, he has a role to play. It's important that he does not go like a Bashir. It's important that he does not go like a Idi Amin. It is important that he goes like any other respectable former leader. And we will be glad as a generation to have our old man who we competed against, who we won. But now we go to him for guidance every once in a while. He has not only done bad things, he has done some good things, although his time is expired.
Okay. Yeah. Just of recent, I saw you going to Bulange Mengo.
Yeah.
People were paying keen attention to your movements with regards to Mengo. People like me, you've taken time without going back to Mengo. You still respected the king, you still respected the institution, but you only showed up at events that were meant for the king. You totally distance yourself from the Buganda politics. You say, you know what? I'm just going to go with the nation. Last week, we saw you at Bulange Mengo, and you talked to the premier, that is Owechitiwa Charles Peter Maiga, and he was patenting his deliberation. He said, we're going to look at those who are going to address and amplify our issues as Uganda. Now, those issues, won't they conflict with the Ugandan issues on a whole?
Yeah, to begin with, Andrew, I'm a Muganda and I'm not shy to say that.
And same here.
You know, and it is not bad for me to go and seek support from Mengo. I have visited, you know, Busoga, and I intend to officially go visit the Chavazinga. I intend to go visit the Mukama of Bunyoro. I intend to go visit Oyo. I intend to go visit all traditional leaders and religious leaders, you know. I know that every region, every kingdom, every culture institution has its aspirations. But again, we are Ugandans. Just like Buganda has its issues, Bunyoro has its issues, Busoga has its issues, Toro has its issues. All issues need to be addressed, especially issues that benefit all of us as a country, as a nation. We are a generation that is rainbow. My wife here is from Ankole. My closest friend is a Nubian. My 4 deputy presidents come from different regions, the north, the east, the west, and here in the central. So it is important that we look at all issues as nations. You must remember that this Uganda was created by all these tribes coming together, by all these cultures coming together. So it is important for our generation to respect these cultures.
How do you plan to balance all these issues now that they're coming from different walks of regions and different tribes? What is your strategy in balancing all these issues? And you say now we can have a middle ground and we can all shoot in the same direction.
Of course, it's for the people of Uganda. It is not only the Baganda that live in Buganda, not only the Banyankole that live in Ankole, and not only the Acholi that live in Acholi land, Busoga, Bugishu, etc. It is the issues of Ugandans, especially we, the new Ugandans, who are mixed up. Yeah.
Let's look at something to do with the diaspora. Someone would say that the government maybe is a little bit reluctant with Ugandans in the diaspora, but you're so much patent and very passionate about Ugandans in the diaspora.
Yeah.
What are your plans for the people in the diaspora?
Well, the people in the diaspora are supposed to be part of Uganda. It's very unfortunate that the current government is not only distancing the people in the diaspora, but it's disempowering them. For example, court recently ruled that Ugandans that live in the diaspora have the right to choose their leaders, have the right to cast their ballot. But again, the Electoral Commission came out and said they won't cast their vote because there's no money, and whatever explanation they gave. While I'm president, I intend to connect Ugandans that live in the diaspora. These people bring a lot of money back home. These people support a lot of work down here home. So it's important that we connect with them, especially in this generation, this .com generation that we live in. It is much, much easier. You can be outside of Uganda, but in Uganda, but run things here in Uganda. So the connectivity. But again, it all begins with governance. These Ugandans are living in very well-governed countries, and that is why they criticize the misgovernance back home most.
When we look at the state of late, or the reigning government, the president alluded to what he termed as external forces that are meant to cause anarchy and distortion in form of funders. And he was saying all these, you could clearly tell that he was actually addressing these to the opposition. What's your comment on that, about the ruling government saying that they are funders who are funding people like you in opposition to create havoc? He calls them enemies of the progress.
You see, President Museveni amuses me sometimes.
Oh, really?
He made a very big mistake to document everything he went through in the armed struggle, in the violent struggle that brought him to power.
He made a very big mistake.
Yeah, he documented everything. Go and read the mustard seed.
I did, I've read
You know, he would get support and assistance from Libya. Libya is not Uganda.
Mozambique.
He would get assistance from Mozambique, from Sweden, from Europe, and all these other foreign countries. Those are not Ugandan countries. Was he getting was he an enemy of Uganda? Is he now conceding that he was an enemy of Uganda? Well, if he conceded, does not mean all of us are like him. For example, we do not get any funding from foreigners. And even if we were getting, we are not destabilizing Uganda in any way. We are not violent. The support that we get from Ugandans here and abroad. These are Ugandans. Like I said, even if a Ugandan is in America or Vietnam or Brazil, they are Ugandans and they have 100% right about Uganda. The old man is just scared.
Well, with all that you've said, it actually gives me a better perspective now of what exactly is running. Going back to NUP,
Yeah.
so what becomes of the candidates under NUP that failed to raise nomination fees? What's the way forward for them? Because yes, they got the card, they passed through the vetting process, and they were actually the best candidates.
Yeah.
But here we are, they don't have enough money for nomination fees.
Well, that is supposed to teach us, like one wise man said, we don't lose. We either win or we learn. Now that teaches us that as soon as we take power, we are going to make sure that we're going to decommercialize politics. Politics has been highly commercialized. How do you tell me that a poor person, no matter how qualified, has no right to lead their people? How do you make it 3 million for a person to run for member of parliament? That means a young, intelligent, qualified, but unemployed Ugandan cannot run for parliament. That means parliament, that means politics is a business. We have to change that. It never used to be like that, but now it's like that. I want to believe that it was intended to lock out the poor Ugandans and keep these lauded politicians who, of course, in many times are corrupt officials, to keep them in politics. We have to change that. This should speak to us.
Ideally, Bobi Wine, what do you think should be the amount of money someone should actually pay for a nomination fee in this dispensation where we are?
Yeah, before 2016, it was 200,000 to run for parliament. And then it went to 3 million shillings.
yeah.
That is wrong. We must decommercialize politics. Yeah.
What's your comment about police? Just a few days ago, I think last Thursday, online, before I slept, I saw your Secretary General was being arrested, and I followed the live conversation to the police. What's your comment about police's approach in the political season where we are? Because you've run battles with them on a daily, but I mean, there gets a time or a moment where you step and you say, but what's wrong with this?
Same question you ask, what is wrong with these people? And I have a few friends in the police, and they also don't like what they're being made to do. For example, you have also seen on social media police and the military mounting posters and billboards for President Museveni. But the same police and the military have been seen removing my posters and banners, and also beating people for wearing my T-shirts and wearing the beret. It should be a shame to them. But I mean, that is what we are. That is where we are. It should communicate to you how rotten the police has become. The police has been reduced to criminals, to lawbreakers. It's a political police, and that is wrong. That is really wrong. That is what we must change. It is, and then it also goes further to show you how shameless the regime is and how shameless President Museveni is. It's like me composing a song, but again, you copy the song, but abolish the original, and you want the photocopy to be played. You have seen, we came up with a beret, and we came up with a red overall.
They're
and
saying
this kind of,
that is infringing the Gazette
and this
thing.
kind of attire. They copied it and we started wearing yellow berets and a yellow overall. And now they say the original is abolished, but the copy is legal. It's shameful,
Good morning at NTV. We're live from Magere here in Gayaza with Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi Sentamu. A lot more interesting conversations. It's morning at NTV. That's the hashtag on Twitter, on Facebook, and far beyond. I'll take a break for now, but I'll be back shortly. We're still with Honorable Kyagulanyi as he's still taking us on the real journey. When Morning at NTV. We are live from Magere here in Gaya's Chadondo East. That's where we are. And my name is Andrew Chamagero Montuawansi. The hashtag is Morning at NTV. That's on Twitter. And today our guest, a distinguished guest, is Honorable Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, as he deliberates on a couple of issues as we're heading to 2021. Well, Honorable, I'm very honored to still have this conversation. You've highlighted and given us insights on a couple of things. Going back on the issue of the barrettes, before we went for the break, you said the original was now defranchised and the photocopy was being amplified to be the original. Yeah. What are you going to do about this? Are we going to lament again and again, or are you hoping to challenge this before the courts of law and you challenge the gazetting of the barrettes and the likes?
It's being challenged. It's being challenged. But as you know, we are living in a country that has no respect for the rule of law. For example, the Public Order Management Act has been challenged for the longest time. And you can almost be sure that judgment is not going to be given. All this is going to be fixed in a new Uganda. You know, you won't have to challenge it because it's also a bogus claim. I mean, the law is clear. It has nothing to do with the color. It has nothing to do with the shape. It has everything to do with the insignia. I mean, can you mistake me for a soldier? Really?
You never know.
The former Army Commander, General Mugisha Muntu, was on TV recently, making it clear. I mean, nobody can meet me and say I'm a soldier.
I find it
Otherwise, all pilots will be arrested. All chefs, all hotel attendants would be arrested. This is politically motivated. These people just cannot believe we are taking them rub-a-dub style. We are beating them with fashion. We are beating them with words. We are beating them with reasoning. They are wrong. So all they have to do is to use brute force. Yeah.
Honorable, let's go into now international diplomacy. When you are president and you've won the election, we have a lot of relations as a nation that are, some are bruised, some are ongoing and well. What is your strategy with regards to the international policy, especially diplomacy-wise? I'll give you an example of Somalia. We take, I don't know how many soldiers every now and again. We have the issue of Rwanda. We have the issue of Congo. You saw the roads going in Congo. What's your take on the international dynamics as a nation on a play?
Well, I'll take it one at a time. With Somalia, of course, we should be our brothers' keepers. You know, one African nation should not be bleeding and we fold our arms. But again, we should not be doing that at the cost of Ugandans. You understand? While we should respect the need for them, while we should be there for our sister African countries when they need us, we should make sure it is not at the cost of our people. And many times it's done also for, you know, selfish ends. Talk about South Sudan and Central African Republic. Many times we are actually coming off as warmongers. We cause the conflicts or aggravate the conflicts in these countries, and then we cause refugee influxes, which refugee influxes are also used to milk money. You've seen the refugee scandals that have happened in Uganda. So while we should help our sister countries, it should not be at the cost of our people. Now, coming to countries like Rwanda, we should have respect for their sovereignty. You know, it shouldn't be about the egos of our leaders. It shouldn't be about bulldozing other leaders. You understand? These are sovereign countries that we should respect. We have we have international treaties that we are signatories to. And most importantly, we have the East African community. But again, like I told you, it should be about the people. We as East Africans, we are, you know, people that love each other, people that connect. There are certain things that should, it should not be a president's club. It should be about with the people. As a young person, as a talent-oriented person, I want to believe that there are nicer things that can unite us. Sports, arts, you know, those things bring us together. While the leaders might be clashing, for us, the people, we are together. For example, how many young men are in contact with Randy's women? You know, so the leaders should not. You get what I mean?
Oh, yes.
I mean, if you know, you know.
Well, Honorable, now let's go to the Electoral Commission issue. I'm very glad about the international issue, how you've held it. Let's come to the issue of election. But before we go to Electoral Commission, still looking at the diplomats you put, or the diplomats we install, or we authorize to be in some countries. Do you have doubts about our diplomats? After seeing, I'm sure you had a clip of some diplomats who were planning on how to swindle money during COVID-19 that went around the world. Do you trust our diplomats in these different countries, depending on the magnitude of how people are complaining? From the Middle East, you've had the girls and the boys saying, we lack this, we lack this. Do you have trust in the system of the diplomats we have across the globe?
Well, it has been told to us that a fish rots right from the head. You know, if it's not about the people here in Uganda, how do you expect it to be about the people outside there? Yes, you've seen our girls being humiliated. You've seen our citizens being humiliated in the COVID situation. At the height of it, you saw our girls in Arab countries stuck on the embassies. And yes, the ambassadors don't do a thing. All the ambassadors do is to look out for opposition elements, even outside Uganda. So that is just a symptom of the bigger problem that we have, that our administration is not actually serving the people. It is serving its interests. The biggest enemy of the Ugandans is the Ugandan government. So Ugandans, I've been telling them, and I continue to tell them, that you are on your own. We are on our own until we have leaders who are accountable to us, until we have leaders that fear to offend us. But for as long as you have Museveni, who has told you in your face that he is not your servant, that is what you should expect, and even worse. But good enough, we have an opportunity. I am here. Make me your president, and your problems will be solved.
Okay, now we come back to Electoral Commission here. What do you make of the Electoral Commission? After all this wave that has been going around, what do you make of the Electoral Commission? And do you trust them for 2021?
I'll edit the question and throw it back to you.
No. It's my show. Robert, it's my show.
Because, Andrew, this is the Electoral Commission that has a chairman, Mr. Byabakama, who, on record, was the one prosecuting Dr. Besigye for apparent rape charges. The
Chakwa issue.
Exactly. This is the Electoral Commission where the chairman came out and lied to the world with open eyes, said, the officials, that's after we managed to register NUP before their own eyes in a rubber-dub style. Now, Mr. Byabakama came out and said, no, our officials were not fired. They actually resigned voluntarily. Less than 2 months later, President Museveni came out and said, no, I fired them. Now, you have an Electoral Commission that is being run by an absolute liar. Do you trust it? That question goes to you. That question goes to the Ugandans. Two, the Electoral Commission. Somebody, one Malema Birizi, petitioned them and asked for my academic documents. Within less than 72 hours, they had produced them as per the law, because they had to, according to the Access to Information Act. And then, boom, Mwadanku Nyinji, a lawyer from Chadondo East, came and petitioned the Electoral Commission asking for Mr. Yoweri Museveni's academic documents. Since then, they have not released them. You know, the same Electoral Commission, they came up with all manner of excuses to break the law. You know, a former judge doing that. Do you trust them? That question goes to you, it goes to the public.
Then, Honorable, why are you getting involved in a match where you don't trust the referee?
Man, Idi Amin told us that if you don't trust the referee, hit your opponent with a knockout.
And that's what you're coming with.
That is what we are coming with.
Let's talk about the issue of intimidation. You've seen elections in this country. You've seen the magnitude of the state machinery and all. Do you believe Ugandans have been intimidated to get involved? Research shows that women, on a whole, they don't participate in elections. When it gets to the election day, they're worried, they're scared. Do you believe we have a clout of candidates with regards to that?
We are bad, man. We don't fear intimidation. That's why we still top of the nation. This one is a brand new generation. You get what I mean?
I hear you.
We know the intimidation is flying everywhere, but we're not going to be intimidated. Why? Because history has taught us that there has been more brutal dictators, the Omar el-Bashir, the Gaddafis, the Mugabes, even the apartheid regime, but they have fallen. We go through all this knowing that the people of Uganda are on our side, the law is on our side, and God is on our side. And that is stronger than the intimidation. So the intimidation is there, but we don't give up because we know we are on the side of the truth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's now talk about the issue of the DP block. It's a conversation that has been going back and forth, back and forth. I want to put a rest to this. What is happening with the DP block? And what is NUP doing with the DP block?
But you see, you want me to answer questions about the DP block, about FDC, about ANT,
No.
about NRM. I am NUP. You know, what moral authority do I have to answer questions about DP block? I am NUP, my brother. Please ask me questions.
You're not going to go for that. Yeah. All right. Coming to the bigger question of all questions have been answered. We have a couple of people online who have asked very pertinent questions here. Well, now, let me get online and try to ask some of your questions to those of you that have been sending a lot of questions here to Robert Chagulanyi. Someone here says that, well, you already answered that one. You answered, that will be the last one. Someone is asking something to do with the Buju Banton song. That will be the very last one. Coming to the issues of, let's talk about we as East Africans. Okay, this one's just quoting you. Someone is saying here, looking at what is happening downtown in our arcades and how the police is treating us, how the landlords are treating us, what could be the best approach to rest all these issues? Landlords in the city center.
It's governance. Something to do with governance. Our MPs, our leaders, our fellow Ugandans have come with all manner of solutions which would work. But because we don't focus on the well-being, because the government does not focus on the well-being of the people, it has not had solutions. You know, there are proposed concessions, there are proposed, you know, government interventions. Government has not intervened.
Okay.
Yeah.
Munasingo Bobi says that, well, thank you so much, Honorable. Do we have structures as NUP, and how do I subscribe from my local village?
Well, we have structures and we continue to build them. If you don't have a structure in your village, build one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bring me to speed. So I build one in my village, and how do I connect to the main head office?
Well, at least where there are no village structure, at least there's a parish structure, and at least there's a constituency structure, you know. So connect. I might not reach everywhere because you know the regime is focusing on me. It does not know there are a million Bobi Wines out there. Okay. So I've always told guys, be the Bobi Wine out there, man. This is a generational cause. This is us as a generation. So connect where you say link. Gatao, connect. Yeah.
Well, a last one, this one came way beyond Ugandan borders. It's from Nigeria. A Nigerian says, what's your comment in what is happening in Lagos? Because these are youth who are protesting at the Leti Square, and they said, and they were, it's an incident that came back that reminded us of Thailand incident, and it comes back in our generation. These were young people, people who believe in a trajectory you're trying to sound on a daily basis. What's your comment on those that are going around Africa when you look at the whole scale?
Well, I'm in touch with my Nigerian brothers and sisters, just like I'm in touch with brothers and sisters in Guinea and all other African countries. The wave of change is sweeping across Africa, and it is unstoppable. P.L. Olumumba one time told us that there will be a time when the young people of Africa rise to fall no more. This is the time. Just like it is in Nigeria, it is there in Uganda, it is everywhere. Of course, I stand with my brothers and sisters in Nigeria to fight against the brutality, the state-inspired brutality, and that will stop. It will not take anybody else but me and you and me. We, the young people of Africa, this is our time to write our history. This is our time to shape the country that we want to grow old in. These old brutes should not determine our destiny as Africans. And I also encourage Ugandans to first and foremost fix it here in Uganda so that we can be an example. The young people of Kenya fixed it, or at least they did what they could. And now they are where they are. The young people of South Africa, of Botswana, of other well-governed African countries, they did it themselves. It will not take anybody else to do it. It will take you. I've seen people commenting about it. They should continue to comment. But again, it's important to see the problem right here before you see the problem right there. Fidel Taya said, "Akasasiru kakuli kuliso, totunulira kamuno sebo yambe." So let us look at, what is happening in Nigeria has been happening in Uganda for the longest time. So let us address the injustice here, and we will be addressing the injustice all over Africa. We have the same problem as a continent, and it will take us as a generation to fix it.
When you arrested Honorable Kyagulanyi, there were lots of protests, not only in Kampala. They spilled over to Kenya, they spilled over to, well, the one in Rwanda was a little bit small, but there was there.
Yeah.
In Tanzania, we saw those in Nigeria, even in Morocco and world at large. Is there a movement you're a part of? Are you part of the Pan-Africanism, the new generation of Pan-Africanism, if I should put it that way? Because even down in South Africa, Julius Malema would say, I believe, I would go by his word, say, I believe in the boy at Harp at the Sahara, who is Bobi Wine, is bringing the change that is needed there. This wave around Africa, where all the young leaders believed in you, do you subscribe to the Pan-African ideology?
Definitely, I'm a Pan-Africanist, and you should be. Africa is one, and Africa is not going to be free until all of Africa is free. It was even said by our brother in the diaspora in the early 60s, Dr. Martin Luther King, who said injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. If there's injustice here, it is going to spill beyond Uganda. You know, it started here when they started taxing social media. And now some other African despots are taxing social media. So if you fight it here, if you fight injustice and defeat it here, you're not only defeating it in Uganda, you are defeating it elsewhere. Look at me. I've been greatly inspired by Julius Malema, by our brothers and sisters across the African continent. And I believe we are also inspiring others. So Africa is one, and Africa cannot be free until all of Africa is free.
Okay. Ngatonate Marasta. Jobs, employment. This generation, that is our biggest cancer.
Yeah.
What strategies do you have to address this issue? Jobs in this generation.
Jobs.
As a leader, because you're taking up a generation that is coming from tatters, if I should put it that way.
Yeah, very many. But I mean, that doesn't cut across the lack of jobs. You should know that there are some families where somebody is born, somebody is still in their diapers, but a big office is reserved for them when they grow up. You know, we want to start by offering equal opportunity for everybody, where a Ugandan is judged by the content by their productivity on merit, not which tribe they come from, not who knows them, not what their last name is. So if we have equal opportunity, at least we can have the few jobs spread. But again, that is not solution enough. I talked about education because it begins with training, you know. Don't limit it to only the academics. Make it the 3, now the 4 A's. Train people in the athletics. Train people, the young Ugandans in the arts. Train young Ugandans in agriculture. Agriculture used to be our biggest employer. Now it does not do that because we don't even have the expertise to maximize the blessed land that we have. So it all begins with training. And of course, other thoughts. I'm not all solutions. I intend only to be a good manager. Intelligent people like yourselves, intelligent people, ideological people like you, my brother, my sister watching, will have space to come to the table and suggest solutions so that we have all the solutions together as a generation.
Okay.
Yeah.
There is a question coming in from She Leopold. She says that ask my president on the support that is to be accorded to the flag bearers of NUP. Is there any hope of the party supporting their candidates now that NUP is official? I think you already answered to that. Someone said here that, okay, that is a quote from you. Our education system has been addressed. Okay, someone here is saying, Bobi Wine, talk about cooperatives. Are cooperatives a best way that is going to help farmers get out of poverty from the village level, because you're so passionate about agriculture?
Well, when I was growing up, it is cooperatives that were educating us, even if it was not yet a coffee harvesting season. My father would go to the cooperative and pick money, send us to school in Gomba. Look at Busoga, you know, those cooperatives, they call it society in Busoga.
Society.
Society.
Ojiremu society.
Ojiremu society.
Okay.
You know, they used to uplift the farmers. Agriculture was beneficial. Unfortunately, now it is not the case. So you can't reinvent the wheel. Just go back to what used to benefit our people. Dust it. Make it work. Make our people own it. And then, boom.
In a rubber-dub style.
In a rubber-dub style.
Well, finally, while we're having this conversation, you hinted a lot on a couple of things, and there is one thing that is now very patent here. Virtual campaigns. How has this affected you? Because I'm sure when you brought this up before COVID-19, there is one day you said, ngenda kubaragako kasita tuyingira campaign amanyi g'abantu.
Yeah.
And virtual campaigns came. How has this virtual campaigns affected your entire flow?
Bro, even the so-called virtual campaigns are not there. These people are so scared. For example, I'm not allowed to go on TVs and radios outside Kampala.
Until when we've taken it the rubber-dub style.
Look, recently, the security went to radio stations, a radio owners association in Lango, and ordered them not to host me. Wow. I went to Mbale. The DPC, RPC, and RDC came and switched off the radio. And that is the case that I brought in the Mbale High Court. And even when I brought that case in court, the judge was ordered not to proceed with the case. Wow. In Barara, I was supposed to be on radio. They blocked me from going there. So these people actually don't want me to campaign. I've never seen a coward like Museveni.
Come
Honestly,
on.
man, these people are scared of us as a generation. But again, is that supposed to make us sad? No, that is supposed to motivate us. I've always been telling you that the people we are scared of are 1 million times scared of us. So let's just keep pushing. I'm very thankful that the times we're living in are actually our times.
Okay.
We are an unstoppable generation. We campaign in all styles. Why? Because we have the same pain. Even those people that they're using to block us are actually campaigning for us. Even the regime is campaigning for us unknowingly by exposing themselves. So it works for us anyway. They are damned if they let us campaign. They are damned if they don't let us campaign.
So given that now they have confined you in Kampala, and I could be one of those people who believes in you, but I'm in a Beam district or I'm in Nonyo district, how do I get your communication? How do I get your message?
Well, be sure that people in Abim hear us. I've been saying it for the longest time. that let every person, especially those young people, let them become Bobi Wine. This is not about me. It's about them. There's nothing special about me. It's all about confidence. You know, but 100 years ago, Marcus Garvey told us that without confidence, you are twice defeated in this race. But with confidence, you win even before you start. So those young people should only be confident. These words that I'm speaking are not rocket science. It is the pain, the challenges that we go through every day. Just pick up confidence and communicate. And before you know, we are many. By now, we are millions and millions of Chamageros, millions and millions of Chagolanyis. So let's keep doing that. Of course, I'll make every effort to reach there. If they try to block me, they'll be exposing themselves. Anyway, the message will be reaching there. Since they blocked my music, you think people don't dance to my music anymore? Of course they do.
They do.
So
well,
for us, we're succeeding anyway.
As we're winding up this conversation, Honorable, let's talk about something to do with the music industry. You brought the music into politics, but earlier on you said there is more politics in the music industry than in the parliament.
Yeah, man.
What is this entire wave going on? I've seen Khalifa Ganaga going for office, Chameleon vying for office. There are lots of people in the entertainment industry that have taken up your wave and they're actually going all that way. What does this mean to you?
One civilization is not complete without its art. The highest form of expression of human intelligence, that is art. I've been telling the artists that your voices are super powerful. Use them, but use them for the benefit of your people. We artists, like our father Okot Bitek said, that we artists are the mirrors of society. Whatever we talk about is what is happening in the society. Unless, of course, if we choose to lie. Of course, some artists are so unconfident that they are used to enslave themselves. You see artists here not knowing how powerful they are, being used to tell lies, being used to brainwash their fellow citizens, being used to oppress their fellow citizens. I've told artists that they are super powerful, and I'm very glad that many of them have picked it and are using it for the positive. I want to salute comrades like Matthias Walukaga. I want to salute comrades like Dr. Hildeman. I want to salute very many comrades that have risen to the occasion and use their their talents for the benefit of their people. Those ones are on the right side of history. Do not stop. Let's keep using our art, because remember, in the days of slavery, music played a huge role. In the days of apartheid, music, the likes of Miriam Makeba, Lake Dube, Yvonne Chaka Chaka, Chico Chimola, they played a huge role, a huge role. In the days of colonialism, the likes of Misusera Segamenge, Christopher Sebaduka, Eli Wamala, they played a huge role. So in these days of dictatorship, it is upon us, and history is going to judge us either harshly or honorably, depending on which side we choose. There are two sides, the side of the oppressor and the side of the people. It is upon you, the artist, to decide to use your voice, either for your own selfish ends or for the people that uplifted you. They uplifted you from poverty. They uplifted you from a nobody. It is time for you to uplift the voice of your people.
Earlier on, you should have had a pre-nomination tour. How far are you with that?
Well, we were supposed to have a pre-nomination tour, but the judgment was pushed for the first time. The judgment was delivered by email and WhatsApp. But, you know, that speaks a lot about where we are. And yes, today we are unveiling our campaign poster, and soon, in the coming days, we are going to, boom, roll out. Yeah. So wait for us. We'll be there.
Well, let's talk about the defacing of your posters around the city and some municipalities and townships. What's your comment on that? The defacing of because if the campaign should be virtue, as they say, and your posters are being defaced and cut, what's your comment on that?
Only that you did not mention that my posters and banners are being defaced by the police and the military.
Because I have no facts. I've not seen police doing that.
Well, I have seen it, and I'm sure you're only being politically correct, or you're trying to safeguard your job. And I understand that. But it is everyone, social media, police, and the military, removing and defacing my posters and banners. But that speaks of how scared of us they are. You know, you cannot stop an idea whose time has come. The time is here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last question from online, and this is coming in from, okay, this one says, Brad, amasanyazo nekawempe bagajeko, na ye ndi mustensi ni wano wendabira. Okay, mumbulize Rasta, nti, what is your comment about okubanti gwe ogagawalidde mu ligimu ya Sevo, atengo yagala muli awo mujjako, chikola kitya mbuusa?
Kati olaba chali wange oba kidde mu Luganda.
Ekidde mu Luganda.
Kati olaba boy wange omuntu yenna tagezangako n'akufumba nti gwe oli mulamu kubanga ye no kino kisima Katonda yakituwa nange ne bwe nabeera president singenze ngenda okusalawo mbu kati gwe bw'okola ennyo tolina kusasulwa nedda. You should not credit anybody for your talents. Oba oliawo nandibadde mugagga nnyo ontegera kye ŋŋamba ate kyandibadde kibalagano balaga nti nze kati nyenawo naye kati nwanirira abo abatalina kuba ndowooza ti buli muntu alina okubeera nga nze akola ennyo alina okufuna ontegera kye ŋŋamba. So Uganda yeetaaga ekisingawo. Tosobola gamba nti kati gwe kyamagero owezezza emyaka 2 oba 3 kati olina okuneebaza. Nedda. That is not a favor. That is a right. Okay? Ekyo si kyakukuyamba, ekyo kikyo Katonda yakikuwa eryo ddembe lyo onfuna bulungi. Kuva edda ne ku mulembe gwa Amini baakolanga ne bafuna mu mirimu gyabwe. Ekyenjawulo nti buli omu alina okuba n'omukisa gwe gumu. Nze kati nasoma naye saafuna mulimu. Ekyampisaawo talanta yange nga bw'olaba Kiprotich. Naye bannange bangi nnyo tebafunye mukisa nga gwe nfunye. Kakati tebalina kugamba mbu kati nze nkugaggawaza kati nze nkukaddiyiza. Nedda ssebo si bwe kino okubeeramu naawe ettaano.
All right. As we're winding up, Honorable Kyagulanyi, I want to put this to you in Luganda. What could be your last words? This is going to be 2 texts, one for Luganda, one for English. What could be your words to Ugandans as they're heading to 2021? A message that is going to sound and resound in their ears over time until the day election runs. Right away.
Fellow Ugandans, especially the young people. Why am I talking to the young people? Because the elders know exactly what I'm talking about. But for you, the young people, we've wailed, we've complained for the longest time. Now I'm not here to lament. I'm here to give a solution. We are the solution. We have an opportunity, a rare opportunity. It comes every 5 years. Now we have less than 80 days to change our fortunes. We have less than 80 days to fix our country. Rise to the occasion. Do not sleep. Do everything that you can. Go out there. Send out the message, the true message. Show people around them. Show the benefit. Show them the opportunities that we have. This is a very rich country that we can fix, that we can benefit from. It all begins with leadership. We have an opportunity to change our leadership without shedding blood. We have an opportunity to cast our vote. Encourage everybody to cast their vote and to guard their vote. This is our opportunity. Get out of your comfort zone. For those that are in the cities, go to the villages, especially where you come from. Communicate to your fellow Ugandans. This COVID-19 came as a curse, but I want to see it as an opportunity. There is no school. Go out and preach the gospel. Go out. Those who can print the posters, even if you photocopy them in black and white, for as long as the message gets to the lowest person, talk to your mothers, your fathers, your grandfathers, your aunties, talk to everybody that is above 18. For those that are registered to vote, make sure they vote. But even if you're not registered to vote, at least make sure you guard this vote. We have an opportunity that we might not get. If we don't do this, we will be sentencing ourselves to yet another 5 or even 50 years of dictatorship. We have an opportunity. Let us embrace it and change this country forever. We have an opportunity. Don't give up on it. We can do this, and we are going to do this for God and our country.
Chidde mu Luganda.
Eri bakyali bange mwenna bannayuganda bannange tukabye ebbanga ddene twemulugunyiza ebbanga ddene naye kati saagala kwogera ku bya kaaba saagala kwogera ku bya complaininga tuyina ekisima tuyina omukisa baganda bange okukyusa ensi yaffe n'ensingaga nnyo eyina golodi eyina oiro eyina buli kimu kye twetaaga tetulina kubanga abaana bafa nga bato tetulina kubanga abakyala bafa nga bazaala tulina omukisa okukyusa ebyenjigiriza ebyokusoma ebyobulimi tulina omukisa okukomya ekitta abantu kino ekigenda mu maaso tulina omukisa okukomya okutulugunyizibwa kuno kwonna kwonna tukikola tutya making sure otuukirira buli omu asobola okubaako kyakola kola kyosobola okukola ne bw'oba teweesimbyewo mwabali mu bibuga muve mu bibuga mugende mu byalo buli omu gyazaalibwa mutambuze amawulire gano afunye posters zituuseeyo naye ne bw'oba tofunye poster ne bw'ofotokopinga zi black and white kasita message etuuka making sure otuuka ku buli muntu mugambe bajjajja bammwe bamaama bammwe bataata bammwe baganda bammwe mubalage nti omukisa ogwa Uganda empya tuguyina mutuuke buli wamu buli muntu aweza emyaka 18 n'okweyongera waggulu naddala abo abeewandiisa okulonda bamekinge sure balonda naye n'abo abataafuna mukisa kwewandiisa kulonda bamekinge sure bagadinga akalulu tulina omukisa guno njagala obbakakasa nti singa tukola kye tulina okukola tugenda kukyusa Uganda yaffe tulina ennaku 8 zokka naye tusobola okukikola kino temusuula step baganda bange tusobole mu mwaka ogujja okugenda mu Uganda empya tweyagalire mu nsi yaffe eno tulabe ku mirembe mu bulamu bwaffe tusobole okutereeza Uganda yaffe ate tugyeyagaliremu n'abaana baffe n'abazzukulu mwebale nnyo okubamanyi mujja kukikola
nga tonnatema bakuba akapera
bakuba akapera nze njagala tube mu ggwanga etto naye nga tulowooza ng'abakulu twewale n'okuyiga obuyisa bw'abo abafuzi abajjudde omululu tuteme n'empenda ezikuze eggwanga eppya lino erijjudde amabavu njagala okimanye mutima ffe Uganda ne Uganda yeffe. We are the country, we are the future, we are the change we badly need. We are the youngest population in the world, we stand a chance. We are the leaders of the future, and the future is today. If we only vote together, we can change our destiny. Mukimanye nti okununula eggwanga kitukakatako abaana ba Uganda fena era gwe bw'otunuulira ebikyamu n'osirikireyo oliddemu ensi y'olukwe naffe abakuyimirirawo gwe n'osirikireyo obeera otusaddase ono omusajja tumutya buti naye nga twalonze fenna tumutwala atalinnya
It's morning at NTV. I'm Andrew Chamagan. Thank you so much to all those that have been a part of the conversation online. We've had great conversation. The hashtag has been morning at NTV. Those who have been watching this in the diaspora and you've been a part of the conversation, I want to thank you for spending sleepless nights waiting for this conversation, and please share these to your friends and family. But before we go for the break, my colleague in Entebbe, that is Ivan Kamana Walunyolo in Entebbe, he's alerting us that school is